Hello and welcome back to the Automotive Logistics Supply Chain Red Sofa. I'm here with Kwakye Davies, a senior procurement, logistics and supply chain professional with over 10 years experience. Harry, it's good to have you with us. You just came off a panel earlier this morning at the Digital Strategies Conference here in Munich, and you shared your insights on the importance of diversity. I just want you to share some of those insights again with our audience here. So starting with maybe a bit of background on your personal journey and the practical steps an organization can take to really nurture that kind of, workplace culture, diversity, inclusivity in the automotive sector.
Well, thank you for having me, Emily. It's my pleasure to be on the red sofa. And like you alluded, I just came from the stage. It was an exciting moment being amongst amazing ladies from different backgrounds, all sharing their personal and lived experiences. And I think it's important for organizations to be able to nurture an enabling environment where everyone regardless of their background would be able to thrive, because that's the only way we can get the creativity and innovation we need within the workspace. So right from the hiring process, it's important that HR folks are able to build strategies into the job descriptions, encouraging folks from minority backgrounds, encouraging women, people living with disabilities, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, people from different geographies and nationalities to apply for roles. And then it's also important that in the hiring process, organizations will be able to eliminate biases by ensuring that people are not putting in their gender, people are not putting in their religious status, people are not putting in their age, because those are things that could lead to biases, because somebody could be advanced in experience but could be young in age, and that could be a hindering block or a stumbling block for them in the hiring process. It's also important for organizations to ensure that the panel of interviewers are very diverse. Then we don't want to have just all white male, but you want to be able to mix the panel so that they would all be able to assess a candidate based on the candidate's specific skills and not based on the fact that the candidate looks like them or not. Outside of hiring these diverse talents into the workspace, it's also important that we celebrate the cultures they come from. That's why we need to ensure that we are celebrating International Women's Month. We need to ensure that we are celebrating Christmas, we are celebrating Ramadan for people from the Islamic religion. We are celebrating people from Hindu backgrounds when they are celebrating their specific religious events. That way they feel that they belong to the workplace. And then finally, I think it's also important for business leaders and executives to sponsor folks within the minority community in the workplace. So we need employee resource groups, which are minorities or people from historically marginalized communities, create a safe space for them to come together where they can amplify the DEI objectives of the company and possibly have these executive sponsor employee resource groups so that they thrive within the workplace.
Thank you very much, Harry. I mean, you kind of alluded to there that the automotive industry is very much diverse in its nature. So looking at how organizers can really leverage diverse teams better to understand and address these needs, how can they make sure that they're doing that to ensure that they're maintaining a competitive edge for their customer base?
Yeah, I think we need to look at it from the marketplace, right? This is literally the marketplace we are talking about. So in looking at diversity from the marketplace, we need to also look at it from who are suppliers? Who are the suppliers of the automotive industry, right? So where are we sourcing raw materials from? Raw materials come from different parts of the world. And so it's important that wherever you're sourcing from, you are ensuring your tier 1, tier 2, even through to your tier 3 suppliers are adhering to diversity, equity, and inclusion standards. So diversity and inclusion is not historically just about the humans also. You can also look at it from what are the processes we are using in sourcing? Are we doing fair practices? Are we looking at fair trade? Are we using the right human resources to produce the raw materials that we need? And that's a way we can encourage diversity from an organization standpoint in what they're doing in the marketplace. So a typical example would be if you're sourcing raw materials from a specific geographical area, deep diving into their health, safety, and environment requirements. Are they using child labor? Are they paying people the right amount of salaries. We all know how there was a big shift to production in Asia, where we also heard that people were not being paid the minimum wages that they were required and working even longer hours. And so it's important that in the automotive industry, big OEMs are able to also have visibility into their tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers and ensure that they are following fair practices and adhering to good human resource practices, and also making sure they're paying the right amount of income for people that work on these raw materials that will be shipped to OEMs to go through their manufacturing supply chain. That way we can ensure equity across the entirety of the supply chain.
Thank you. And being here at the Digital Strategies event, I have to touch upon the, digital tools, looking at AI, and those can sometimes limit some of the opportunities for diverse talent. So how can organizations really ensure that those tools are designed to minimize biases and used to attract and support diverse talent?
Wow, that's a very interesting question, and also one that's quite dear to my heart, because a lot of research has gone into AI, and we realize that AI some way somehow fits the narrative of white men, or of people that are white. And so I think it's important for organizations to ensure that leveraging digital tools are great, but making sure that the digital tools are able to encompass everyone into its system and its infrastructure, so that if somebody applies for a role, right from the ATS system that eliminates candidates or eliminates the CVs, they don't look at the fact that this person has this kind of name, or we feel like this from this religious background, and so they are not shortlisted. Organizations won't be able to leverage these amazing talents because they don't have the opportunity, or they didn't have the opportunity to even interview them. So AI is a good tool, but ensuring that there's rid of biases, ensuring that biases such as age, geographical location, religion, pictures, etc. are eliminated from the tool, so that it brings out the best in the candidates, and the candidates can be assessed based on their skill set versus not just even being shortlisted at all. So that's how AI can be leveraged with the hiring process. And then even internally, organizations can look at what is attrition. How are the minority talents or the diverse talents, are they doing voluntary attrition? Is it involuntary attrition? Is the workplace exciting for them to continue to stay, or they want to leave? And all these tools will be able to help with the HR data science team to be able to get all the data needed to see the evolution of when someone from a diverse talent comes into the workplace, how long they stay, and then how long it takes them to leave the organization as well.
Thank you so much. And for our final question, we spoke a lot about resiliency on the panel and making sure that diversity of thought actually improves the resiliency of the automotive industry. So how can organizations really navigate those challenges and stay resilient by adopting a diverse talent?
Wow, that's also a very interesting question. And I think when we think about resilience, we also need to understand that in the last few years, there's been a lot of disruption in the market, but organizations have been able to rise up to the moment. Take COVID, where raw materials coming from Asia couldn't even be shipped, right? It couldn't even be produced or shipped or come on the vessels. Take what is happening in the Red Sea, right? There's all the war between Israel and the Middle East and affecting global supply chain. And so it's important that if we diversify where we source raw materials from, then we don't lean into or lean onto a specific geographical region for our resources. But we also need to understand that the world needs to come together to be a driving force in ensuring that global trade continues. And I like the fact that if the Red Sea is blocked now, then we need to circumnavigate around the entirety of Africa before we can get raw materials delivered. That means that there's delay in production. That means that there's delay in delivery of products to the final customer. And so it's important that we build systems in such a way that we have a pipeline or we have buffer stock, just in case if there's any emergency, we are able to have this backup to be able to lean on until we find lasting.
For everyone at home, please stay tuned for more on the Red Sofa, and please look out for an exclusive interview on automotive logistics with Harry.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. Thank you. Source your raw materials so that in case of any disruptions, you would have a backup and not face the challenges that we face, especially during COVID.
Thank you so much, Harry, and thank you for being here on the Red Sofa.